Public consultation is continuing on changing the name of Russell back to its original Māori name, Kororāreka. The New Zealand Geographic Board has put up the issue for public discussion as the name change could be swayed by public feedback. A government minister may also weigh in and have the final say, but the Kororāreka Marae Society that came up with the proposal say it's all about restoring a Māori name and its associated history. Kororāreka Marae Chair Deb Rewiri, Ngāpuhi, Ngāti Awa, te Whānau-ā-Apanui is with us now. Tēnā koe, Deb. Thank you for joining us.
Tēnā koe, Neil.
Now, you prefer to use the terminology restoration as opposed to name change. Why is this wording important to you when talking about this particular kaupapa?
I think when I began this journey and put the application in, and I've been, challenged by Whānau District Council, why have you put restoration instead of change? And I said, because that's what its original name was. When our tupuna were here, we had Kororāreka long before, way before the settlers, Cook came into the bay. And so for me, the restoration is about putting the name back to what it originally was.
Now, the hui at the marae took place at the end of January with locals in attendance. What was the real purpose? What was the specific purpose of this hui? And did you feel that it was a success?
Okay, well, the majority of people that live here are tauiwi, and, it's become unaffordable for our whānau, and most of them have sold their whenua that they did have here. So we needed to really consult. That's part of the New Zealand Geographic Board context, is to consult locally. And so we did. So it was about a 70-30% of Pākehā people that were here, 30% Māori that attended. I facilitated 3 hui during that day, and we're having another one specifically for the business community tomorrow night, and then one more for the community on this Saturday. That wasn't put in the notes because we decided that actually some of the concerns people said is that, the courage it took for them to come in here to meet with us as the marae, because I'd put the application in and then I was facilitating the hui. And I said that was because the protocols at a marae are different from going to a town hall. Yeah.
Now the town...
And so...
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, so for me, it was to consult widely with them and to set the narrative or drive the narrative from our perspective.
And I like the fact that you set it out for everyone. Now, the town was well known as Kororāreka until the early 1840s and stems from the history of a story of an unwell chief who was nursed back to health with soup. Not telling you anything, just providing the context. Now, the soup was made from blue penguin or kororā. What are some of the other things that you feel are important for people to know about your Northland town?
Oh, well, I think most people think that it was the first government here, or capital, but it wasn't. It was actually out at Okiato. And then, the other things were not understanding the existence, actually, or understanding that, the Northland-Auckland anniversary that we commemorate. It was actually begun. What people don't know is that Hobson actually made that proclamation in the church here, the Anglican church, on the 29th of January. So the proclamation was he was the first governor, and the second proclamation was there will be a treaty with the Indigenous people here. And I can't remember what the third proclamation was, but people don't know that, and that's why we celebrate or commemorate Northland, what they call Northland-Auckland anniversary. But really the proclamation was set here in Kororāreka. So I think what people need to understand is how historical our town, this village was in terms of building those bicultural relationships right from the beginning.
Right.
I think, there's so much to share in terms of the history of the place.
Well, yeah, speaking of bicultural relationships, Some are suggesting a dual name, both the English and Māori. Is this a possibility for you?
No, not really. Someone said, came into the hui and said, "Oh, we have to be unbiased." And I said, "Well, no, not really." I put the application in and I said, I talk about carefronting rather than confronting people.
Yes.
And I said, let's have some robust conversation. But I said, I'm not being unbiased. I'm telling you, this is what we're driving towards. And I said, having the name of Kororāreka restored to its original name. And instead of, I don't know that I can say this on TV, um, it starts with B, but instead of people wrapping their words around it, they say, well, we can't pronounce it. And
Yep.
I said, look, every single syllable in English is in Māori, or every single syllable in Māori. And I said, you break the word down.
Sure.
And so what one of our local editors did is she went round with a tape recorder and she videoed people and she trained them literally in how to say Kororāreka and then run it all together. And so we know that people are going to have problems,
Yep.
but I just, we keep pushing it. And I think in 2023, we're
We're
over
ready.
this. Oh, it's too hard to say.
Yeah.
Give
Okay.
it up, people. Just give it a go.
All right. Nice to talk to you today. Kororāreka Marae Chair Deb Rewiri. Thank you so much for joining us today, and please keep in touch so we can find out what the latest is on the name potential change. Ngā mihi.
Yeah. Kia ora, ngā mihi.